Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. First of all, I hope everyone's safe and well. Welcome to the first webinar of The Insider. I am joined today by Mark Kitching. I'm very excited. Thanks for coming, Mark. Initially, what I want to do is, first off, I want to explain some rules today. We're going to go through some questions, go through an overview of Mark's situation now, how he's working, what he's doing. There's going to be the chance to ask some questions at the end. So all I'd say is to please hold off until questions at the end. So first off, Mark, would you mind giving the viewers a quick introduction?
Hi there. Yeah, can you hear me all right now? I was on mute before.
Yeah, I can hear you nice.
So I've been working at LADbible for just over 2 years, about 2 years and 2 months. Before that, I was at Sky for 17 years, which is far too long for anybody. I've been a developer in the past, a Scrum Master, and now Head of Tech. Head of Tech's what I've been doing at LADbible for the last 2 and a bit years. And I was looking after about 60 people maximum at Sky while I was there. LADbible, it's a fewer than that. It was about 6 when I got there, and then went down to about 2, and now we're back up. We've rebuilt the tech team from scratch there to about 22 people. I look after data science, the IT support team, the development team, UX, design, SEO, and product management.
Very busy man, very busy man. And yeah, for those who maybe don't know enough about the LADbible, the LADbible group, can you maybe give a quick overview of who you guys are and what you do?
Yeah, so we've been around for about 7 years now. It started with 2 guys in a bedroom, which I think is what people think it is now, but it's actually almost 300 people. It was about 140 when I arrived 2 years ago. So we've nearly doubled in size, well, over doubled in size since I started. We've bought, some of that was the fact that we've bought brands like Unilad into the group as well. We are one of the biggest digital publishers for people of around 18 to 35 years old. We reach about 85% of the 18 to 25-year-olds in the UK. And we've got many brands within that. We've got LADbible, Sport Bible, LADbible, Tyler, which is a female-centric website. Yeah, that's the short answer.
Yeah, no, I seem to get tagged in something definitely weekly on socials. I've recently got a new puppy, and I keep on being tagged in these like Dachshund videos on the LADbible now in the group. So yeah, I'm very familiar. I think what we want to do, the whole point of starting this this little series is to speak to tech leaders and to understand a little bit about how everyone is working and coping through the current pandemic. From my perspective, I'm speaking to many managers and candidates alike who are asking me how everyone else is working and what they're doing and what they can take from it and what they can learn. So again, thanks a lot for your time. I'd like to kind of probably kick off really with when this all started. I think that my business, we all went home and started working from home on the 16th. I think the official lockdown started a week later. Was that similar with yourselves? Did you start working from home from the lockdown or beforehand? Or
yeah, we actually moved fairly quickly, but we had a test today, and I think that was the Friday before lockdown. So we had a day where everybody, the whole business, went home just to sort of iron out a few issues that we might see. We did have quite a few, and then we went back to work on the Monday, and then I think it was the Tuesday that everybody got sent home officially. So yeah, it was a couple of days before the actual official lockdown that we had a test day, and then yeah, that was it.
Yeah, no, there's a few companies actually who were doing that. There's, from my perspective, a few companies were they could see what was coming, and they were actually practicing interviews remotely as well. So yeah, no, I think it was a good thing to do. So I mean, obvious question: how's the whole COVID-19 pandemic impacted the business and I guess your day to day?
Yeah, so the business as a whole, it's an online business. That's where most of our business comes from. We make a lot of money from advertising online. We do a lot of work with companies to create their advertising campaigns. So most of that is online. So I suppose as a company, we haven't been badly affected by what's happening. We're all working from home. You know, we've done no furloughing. It's sort of business as usual, but just from home. So I guess it just comes down to the technologies and how we do business. We're a very social company. You know, we most of us like being in each other's company. We're not the sort of people that will work from home a lot. So it's, I think the biggest issue is just being away from each other and working out how we do business and how we talk to each other.
I'd imagine there must be a huge demand for the content. Are you seeing that there's like a spike in terms of people viewing the content at the moment, or?
Yeah, I was going to talk about this later actually, but what you don't want to be doing as a company is be seen to profit from this. I suppose in our position, we are seeing some success from people being at home. You know, people are using our content digitally because they're sat at home with nothing else to do. You know, we've got boards that tell us and daily emails that tell us what our usage is. But we've got an app out there that is gradually creeping up. The usage is getting higher. So, you know, that is a success. We've got more engagement online, more people are using our content. We're doing a lot of really good stuff as well. We've got the Facebook channel called Isolation Nation. We've put things like Ellie Goulding has done a live stream from her home.
Yeah, amazing.
We've got, we did Bongo's Bingo on there as well. And we've just sort of pivoted slightly. It's the sort of stuff that we'd be doing in a normal day-to-day business, but focus more on what we can do while people are at home.
Yeah, absolutely. What about yourself? What about, I'm speaking to managers at the moment, and I think that when I first started working from home, I was a bit of a busy fool. I was spending 12 hours at my desk, but it wasn't all work. A lot of the time I was getting distracted by reading some of the news and things that are happening. Has your day changed at all? Are you kind of busier, or do you think it's pretty similar to when you'd be in the office?
Well, I had this feeling that it was going to sort of peak and then sort of drop off. You know, a lot of my day, I'll be honest, is spent socialising, and there's people that are on this call that will know that. It's part of my job is to make sure everybody's happy with my team, and I don't get to do that. But the first sort of week and a half, because I look after the IT support team, was spent making sure everybody's internet was fine, that everybody had the kit that they needed, that everybody was using the right, had the right licenses for things like Zoom to make sure that they could do big calls when they needed to. That was quite noisy at the start, and then I thought things would drop off. But then what happened was I noticed that my bosses are at home as well, and they've got a little time to think about the business and what we're doing. So they're actually a lot more engaged now than they'd say they were when we were in the office, which is good sides and bad sides. You know, there's a lot of, wow, this is a really good idea, let's get this done, and trying to pivot around the development team and the UX team and data science to understand whether we can do that quickly or not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's it sounds a really cool place to work, to be honest with you, Mark. Have you been doing team quizzes or anything like that? I feel like over the last couple of weeks, I'm like a general knowledge expert. I've done so many bloody online Zoom quizzes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but we've done. It says, I think people might be getting quiz fatigue, but we do. So we've got a company-wide quiz that we do on a Friday about 4:30.
Awesome.
Usually, the bar opens at 4:30 in the office. So everybody grabs a beer in the kitchen and gets involved in the quiz. I think the biggest one we did, we had 40 people on there.
Fantastic. How'd you get on?
I won the second one.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Well done.
I only Googled one answer. That was it.
Fair enough.
We figured out Deliveroo vouchers for that as well. But Deliveroo don't deliver on my end, so I've given that away.
Oh, bloody hell. Cool.
We've seen some really good ideas from the dev team, especially. They're doing things like there's an online game platform called Jackbox, and we're doing Jackbox games at lunchtime sometimes. And someone's been doing walking tours of cities online.
Wow.
Then doing a quiz after, like an observational quiz, how many buses walked past during the walking tour and that stuff.
That's next level stuff. That is. That's like much more advanced than what I've been into. But it sounds amazing. So you said saying you're using Zoom. Is that the kind of preference that you've been working with in terms of kind of video tech?
Initially, no. Because we were a Microsoft Office 365 company, and we're already paying for Teams. we preferred that people would use Teams. We run into a few difficulties with Teams, just mostly based on user interface and the barriers for people to use that weren't technical. It just involved a few too many steps for people to use it easily, and people's patience is low when it comes to this sort of thing. We went with the path of least resistance. Most people were coming to us and saying, "Oh, I really like Zoom. I've used Zoom with my family for conferencing," or this company came to us and used Zoom. So we've bought some Zoom licenses to do meetings over a certain length or meetings with a certain amount of people. We had a meeting with a bunch of media executives about 3 weeks ago, and it was about how LADbible do TikTok, because we've been very successful with TikTok. I think there was something like 200 people came to that.
Amazing.
That was huge. But some people use it. The dev team love Hangouts. They're using Hangouts. I think we've taken the position now where here's the things that we'd like the company to use because it's easier and it's less stress on the IT support team. But if you've got something that you use, it doesn't cost us any money and you have to do that, that's fine. Obviously, we've had to stop people using some things. We have stopped people using House Party. There's no proof that House Party is a security hole, but we have seen some issues where people have downloaded House Party and then we've had their Facebook access hacked.
Oh dear.
I mean, it's correlation, not it's not sure if it was that, but we just to be on the safe side, we've stopped that now.
No, absolutely. So going back to the team then, I mean, how are the team coping themselves? Are you effectively being able to manage them? I'm going to guess you've got kind of an initial layer of management, have you?
Yeah. So the dev team's got a manager and a UX team and the data science team. So there's a few. I still get involved with all those teams on a day-to-day basis, just because it's nice to say hello. So every few days I'll jump on the daily stand-up for the dev team. I've made sure that everybody, all my line reports, they're one-to-ones every week now. I used to do it every 2 weeks, but now I do it every week. Now, for some people, that's overkill, but for some people that are living on their own, some people can cope with it, and some people just need a little bit more face-to-face interaction. And sometimes we'll just sit and talk about, the news and what's happening. Sometimes we'll talk about work, but there are people that just need a little bit more interaction. But to be honest, I think I found the first couple of weeks I was probably interfering too much. It can be difficult when you're not surrounded by people day to day to feel like you're out of touch and not know what they're doing. And I've had to step back a little bit and let myself be a little bit less in control.
I'd agree with that. Sorry, from my end, my business, we are, a small niche technical recruitment business, and there's my business partner and I, and we've got a team of 3 consultants. And as flexible a business as we are, we didn't really do a lot of remote working. So we've learned a hell of a lot along the way, same as you, Mark, to be honest with you, from video technologies to kind of, I guess, best practices and how to kind of work best with the team. And I think that at first it's quite easy to kind of, talk to them about job. If it's easy when someone's looking at the candidate, they want to have you take a quick look at a CV or look at a job spec. You feel like you need to help them more. So I feel that maybe in the kind of early stages of this and how we've kind of progressed, my day today as well as kind of running the business is completely changed. And I think it is now we'll have a catch up in the morning and catch up in the afternoon and completely leave it to the guys. And yeah, it seems to be working, to be honest with you. So I'm exactly the same boat as you, I think. In terms of kind of like leadership, what have you had any kind of key learnings? I mean, is there any advice you can kind of give other business leaders at the moment?
I think that one about trusting people is big. I think you do need to. It's easy to think that because people are working from home, they're not doing anything, and as a leader, that can be quite frustrating. And I know that there are people high up in leadership that do have trust issues, especially in companies where it's a founder-led company and it's their business. So you can be a little bit you need to trust people that they are actually doing the work, put mechanisms in to do that. But from a development tech point of view, we have those mechanisms already in place. We have daily stand-ups, we have bi-weekly planning meetings and things like that. I think trust the process, get involved in meetings if you weren't already, and use those meetings as your, your touchstones and your milestones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rather than get involved in everything that everybody's doing.
Yeah, it's true. I think with our situation, we've although we're kind of apart, it sounds a bit funny, but I think it's brought our team closer together. I think everyone kind of realizes the situation that we're in, and we'll talk about the recruitment, I guess, pretty soon from your end, and I guess myself just in the industry in general. But like I say, I think that it's a weird one. I feel closer to my team, even though we're not kind of sitting opposite each other at the moment. It's a funny one. So
yeah. I think what I'm seeing is people probably showing more emotion when you do see them, because they're sat inside, not having much contact with the world, immediate family, or sometimes no one, and you actually do see sort of the other side of that person. You see them at home, you see them real emotions, you see what they look like unshaven and that sort of thing.
This is the first time I've done my hair in a couple of weeks, Mark. I feel like, this is...
Yeah.
How do you see this? Okay, so moving forward, obviously we have no crystal ball. I guess there's positive signs in terms of kind of hospital admissions that are coming out, but it's obviously still a pretty shocking situation out there, and there's no real strategy in place from the government, which is making it very hard for kind of business leaders to strategize as well. But how do you what do you see coming up over the next couple of months? Do you see current opportunities within the business?
Yeah, well, definitely for us. I am speaking specifically from my point of view. We've been busier than ever in the last few weeks because we've got so many really good ideas to help. We're an audience-led business. We look at our audience and we do what we think they're going to want to watch or read. So at the moment we're producing tons of content for people sat at home. Just entertainment. And it's working really well, and there's a lot of ideas being generated off the back of that. Things like through the keyhole for celebrities. We have access to celebrities, so we're coming up with a lot of good ideas about what we can do with them at home, but then they will transfer later on. So we're actually, as I say, you don't want to profit from a crisis, but on the flip side, this is what this is doing, is it's showing us how much creativity we have in the company and what we do.
I think there's going to be, I think this is a great time to stop and to think, and even again, I look at ourselves. I think any recruitment business out there who are just focusing on trying to make placements and to try and do the day-to-day job, I don't think they're going to be as remembered as much. I think companies who can actually do a little bit different and maybe offer something a little bit unique, I think they're the guys that and to do that, you have to take that stop and to kind of clear your head. And I think that's what this time has kind of allowed us to do as a business. So no, it's really interesting. I think probably moving on, take that into recruitment. I know that you and I were speaking obviously offline, and you haven't slowed down your recruitment process, have you?
Well, we haven't actually. We did have we had a few open roles for development. Now we've paused that for the moment, but that's purely because of the work that we did. We had plans to start working on our CMS system, but given the amount of work that we're doing that doesn't need that at the moment, we don't need a team to build as a CMS system. So we've just paused that just for now. But again, it's not because of it's not because we don't want to hire people online or onboard them online. It's because the work's not going to be there for them. However, we have that backfills, and we've just interviewed for a UX designer, and we're ready to make an offer, and we did all that online. So we'll have to figure out how we do the onboarding for that now as well. The process was great. Obviously a few issues with internet connections and just not sometimes hearing what someone's saying, but it seemed to work quite well. I personally would still prefer to meet someone in the flesh. You can read their body language better, and you just get a better feel of them. But we worked really well.
Yeah, and actually, I think when you talk about kind of workload and what people are focusing on, I think that's pretty true. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy used a quite good analogy. Actually, it was like, do I need to go out at the moment and buy clothes? No. Do I need to go out at the moment and buy food? Yes. So I think the candidates who are in demand are always going to be in demand. I think, and that's what we're certainly finding. In terms of your interviews, then, are you doing split screening? Is there any kind of pairing exercises involved in anything? Is there any kind of diagram stuff that you're kind of going through, or?
So with the one that we just done, it was because it was UX UI designer. We just talked through a bunch of their work. Obviously, they could send us that up front, so we had designs that they'd already done in previous jobs. Yeah, we did a bit of split screen. There's no sort of technical test involved there. However, we have done technical tests in the past before this happened over the air. So for development team, you know, if we need to hire people before this is all over, we can do tech tests online. We get people to do tech test, split screen, and then we get them to submit their work into GitHub. So that's absolutely fine. I think, you know, working in the tech industry all my life, this sort of thing isn't difficult for us. I can understand how it might be a little bit difficult if you're hiring at a level that needs some sort of presentation. But again, I can't really see any barriers to that when we can split screen and, you know, share desktops.
Yeah, what I'm finding is companies who are embracing video technology, I think recruitment's going to change forever now. I really do. I think before companies would do an element of video interviewing, but it wasn't a big thing. I think a lot of the time companies would do telephone interviews, and I can see telephone interviews progress into Zoom interviews. You know, it's more interactive, and you're actually seeing each other. I'm with you in terms of meeting people face to face. So our business, you know, we're on a growth spurt ourselves, and we were off the back of this. There's the recruitment industry has obviously been hit pretty hard in different sectors. There's a couple of candidates that we've spoken to, and we've had really positive interviews for. And I think as soon as we can physically meet face to face, I'm confident that we'll be making some hires. But this is helping us in you know, to get to that stage, I guess. I think with bigger companies, it might be a little bit different. But what I'm finding is we've got a candidate. We've made 2 placements this week, which, to be fair, it's been slow. We haven't for a few weeks. It's everything seems to have slowed down. But I feel like we are, you know, I'd like to think coming out of it. I know all the stats say that we're kind of plateauing a bit, but now we're beginning to make placements. We've got lots of final interviews. I think companies have sorted out how they're doing interviews. I think if it's, you know, there was issues with what technology they're using and at the same time companies want to give a good candidate experience. I think if you go and have an interview and your internet's crashing or there's not a right kind of system, then it doesn't reflect so well. So one of my clients has been using draw.io, if you know that, which is like a website which has really helped people to kind of talk through architecture and more kind of technical interviews, which has been quite good. But I'm finding that, you know, a couple of the companies who want to hire and will hire through video interviews have stolen a massive march, because we talk about this war on talent, and I kind of feel like at the moment the opportunity to hire good guys is there if you're prepared to do it. We've got a candidate who we're hoping for an offer for today, who is also interviewing with Apple, with Facebook, I forget another big player, but they've put the roles on hold. So we can, you know, the client can hopefully manage to secure this candidate through these online video interviews. So it's all pretty interesting. I think, like I say, I think we're going to definitely change. I think in terms of the recruitment industry, I think that technology businesses such as ours are okay. I feel for events recruitment businesses who do a lot of stuff in the summer. I feel for kind of education recruitment businesses. But like I say, I think that there's still the opportunity out there for if you're keen to move into other industries within recruitment. So yeah. So in terms of where we're at right now, have you guys, when I was talking about strategy and kind of moving forward, have you guys planned much in terms of a bounce back, or are you kind of still waiting to have a little bit of an understanding on when we're going to go back to the office and when hopefully things are going to turn back to normal?
Yeah, we haven't got a plan for how things change. We are very reactive at the moment, but we've got a plan. We've got a product roadmap for the dev team that goes into sort of the start of next year. Now it's only changed a little bit because my boss has got more time to think about where he wants the business to go. So I suppose from an overarching point of view, my boss is thinking about the business as a whole, and I'm just dealing with how that feeds into the technology team. But to be honest, a lot of the ideas that we're generating right now and pivots that we might want to do are things that will go on for another 6 months. You know, we're looking at different things we can do with the website, new things that we can do with the app. And it's basically not because of COVID, it's because people have got more time to think about these things.
No, absolutely. Have you got any advice for others in terms of how they might be planning to kind of bounce back? I mean, I know every industry and business is different, but if you were to kind of give a high level bit of advice.
I'm not sure. I was, I don't know, this is about sort of bit defeatist, but I was thinking about things that we need to do going forward. And this isn't answering your question actually, but business continuity plans. I think in the last, we did a big business continuity exercise at Sky just before I left, and it all seemed way overboard at the time, and scenarios that were never going to happen. When I look back now, you think, yeah, we probably should have had a better business continuity plan in place. We were sort of lucky that we did our test at work before we had to go, but it's definitely worth getting those ducks in a row and making sure that as a company, if this happens again or something similar, you know what you're going to be doing and how to continue working. Now, obviously, that's great if you've got a business that can continue working online. I can't vouch for those companies like events coordination. That sort of do that, unfortunately.
No, absolutely. And in terms of, I know that obviously you are interviewing and you are hiring and you will be onboarding. Obviously, we're not too sure when. Have you got kind of initial plans for onboarding at the moment, or?
Yeah, well, assuming that the offer that goes through today gets accepted. I think I was just talking to you about this before, but my personal view is you can't do obviously the social onboarding, and that's probably the most important piece. You know, how a person socially fits into your group when they start working there is probably the most important bit before technical. You know, we hire junior developers a lot, and again, you know, you can take junior developers from all sorts of different walks of life. It's how they fit into the social group, which tells you whether they're going to be successful or not. So focus on the work and the technicals. You know, try and make sure that the onboarding that they're doing it can be done solo. You know, we can pair people up, but you don't know how that's going to work when you don't know that person. So, you know, try and focus on actual coding and the actual work itself, the technicals rather than the social part.
No, absolutely. And in terms of, did you, before the pandemic struck, did you guys used to do a fair amount of remote working anyway, or?
No. As I say, we're quite a social company. We do like to sort of be together, and that's not just the tech team, that's the whole of the company. We don't have, we do have people working from home on occasion. You know, if you've got a delivery coming or you've got a dentist appointment, it's just easier to be at home rather than coming all the way to work. We don't really have a policy around it, but people tend to be in the office, to be honest. From a tech point of view, everybody knows that they can work from home if they need to, and there's no barriers to doing it. You know, code is stored on the cloud. At LADbible, all our platforms are cloud-based. So even down to email and, you know, the chat platforms that we use, you don't need to be in the office. There's no VPN involved, so you know that's fine. So I think that's probably another reason why we've coped with this quite well. Again, what this has given us though is we'll probably put more processes into how we do remote working as far as face-to-face talking and chatting, desktop sharing. So we have seen a couple of barriers. We use a chat, an intranet called Workplace that Facebook provide, and that's not very good at network video chatting and sharing. So we've had to quickly find something else. So Zoom's come in quite handy, and Hangouts. But I think we need to probably formalise that going forward. You know, if we are going to work from home, here's the best way of doing it.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it called us out a little bit, to be honest with you, because I think that where we can work realistically, we just need a kind of phone and a computer. I think the structure of working from home called us out, and I think it's, you know, it's something that we kind of had to learn as we go. But hopefully that can kind of help other guys out.
Sorry, I was going to say something that I didn't mention before, and something that I've had to sort of think about is how people are getting on with the families being around as well. That's something that, you know, socially people don't think about. You know, we've just got a new puppy as well, and it's actually been quite handy. But it does also mean that we've always got to have someone watching him. So when we've got a few people working from home, we've got to think, whose shift is it? And as a manager, you've got to take that into account, that if you've got small children, you could get interrupted in the middle of a conference call, or you have to go away and, feed them, so yeah, that's
a really good point. Really good point. I think when we started out, I think my clients, I don't have children, and I obviously have a puppy, which has its challenges. But I think when I'm speaking to clients, when they initially did remote working and working from home, they were worried about this, and I never really understood it, because obviously I don't have children. It's like, look, it's fine now, but if they shut the schools, like, we're in trouble type thing. And I think that was something that parents obviously saw coming, and I've realised that as well, when you're trying to kind of, when I'm speaking to managers or clients, it's they're in the middle of doing Pythagoras. It's maybe not the best time to ask for CV feedback, I guess. So
yeah, just having that in mind as a manager, that you've got to give people leeway for that. You can't penalise them for it.
No, absolutely. Listen, thank you so much. Loads of really good advice and tips, and really insightful to see how you're working at the moment. I'd like to open this up to the forum for questions. Now, you might have to bear with me here. I haven't done this before. Now, you can use the Zoom chat functionality at the bottom to ask questions. So there should be a chat function. You can please do type on any questions for Mark or myself in terms of the recruitment side of things. Please do drop it in, and I think I might even be able to bring you up on screen if you so wish. So yes, we are. I think there's a couple of messages that might be coming in. How's your afternoon looking, Mark? Are you?
Well, ironically, I'm going to join my first webinar that I'm not part of. So I'm going to go and view a guy that used to work with at Sky is doing an AND digital webinar for product leadership. So I'm going to go and watch that.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a question from Amadeep, and I do believe that you're unmuted, Amadeep. So if you would like to.
Hi.
So how are you?
Hello. I've sent it in the chat, but I'll ask it again. Hi, Mark. I'm Amadeep. You mentioned that you're an online brand, so I understand that on LADbible, most of their content goes through online, and I don't think it goes anywhere else apart from online. Does it?
Yeah, actually, we sell a lot of our videos to the TV and advertisers, so to use on TV. For that, there's a brand, an app called Content Bible, and you might sometimes see us credited on things like Rude Tube on Channel 4.
Okay, all right, fair. But my question actually is have you had to change your overall business strategy in any way to manage what's happening with COVID-19? Is there anything that you've had to do, or has it just benefited you? You've had to work on people working from home?
I think not really. I think it's just given us more opportunities for a captive audience. Captive audience, that sounds awful given what's happened to the book, but we've got more people viewing our content. So it's how do we change our content for the current times. Luckily, we've got a lot of very creative, intelligent people here that have developed lots of really good ideas. Having Ellie Goulding be able to live stream from her home's been great. Getting people like Bongos Bingo to Bingo Online.
Yeah.
It's again with what people are doing right now, and the actual brand's doing really well, because we had a question asked at the press conference the other night as well. One of our editorial staff asked a question, and we're getting some really good high level publicity from that. And again, I know I keep saying this, but you don't want to look like you're profiting from it. But in the current environment, we are an online based company, but our brand's getting out there, and we're doing better stuff online. Basically, does that answer the question?
Yeah. So just to clarify, so you would say that you haven't really done anything, but you've changed your content a little bit in order to suit the audiences a little bit better. And
yeah, without doubt, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. There's a question from Matt. Sorry, from Mark Parker. Hey, Mark. Mark's question is, after all this is over, do you expect things to go back to the way they were before, or do you think there'll be long-term changes in the ways of working?
I think, again, from a tech environment, working from home isn't a big thing. And especially when I was working at Sky, we were hiring a lot of people. We had to look at overseas for staff. So we do a lot of video calls and telephone calls there. So from my point of view, this is sort of normal. However, for the company as a whole, we don't have a lot of people working from home. I'll be honest, and it's not really something that's it's a big deal for some people, but it's just people like to be there. Editorial team prefer to work together. But I can see actually probably in the future, the powers that be will see that this isn't a bad thing, that people can work well from home. And I think almost certainly we'll be putting policies in place with HR to sort of clarify what we can and can't do.
Yeah, from my perspective, I think it's drastically going to change, Matt. I think there's so many different companies in general in the market, and I think that everybody's adapted so much in terms of, like I say, just video technologies for starters. I think that it's definitely going to have a massive impact moving forward. Question from Elaine, question for Mark. There's been some interesting blogs and podcasts about what people might keep post-lockdown. Better work-life balance, focus on well-being, etc. Any thoughts? Maybe some of the stuff we picked up on, I guess, but.
Yeah, I suppose it's just an extension of that last question. I think a lot of people are going to realise that they quite enjoy being at home earlier. I personally, travelling to Manchester from Leeds every day, takes me about an hour and 10 minutes on a good day. Now, when the trains are not working like they often are, it can take me 2 hours to get home. Now, that's not really something that's bothered me too much, but now the weather's great. I can leave my laptop at 5:30. I get sometimes an extra 2 hours in the garden. We've had barbecues in the middle of the week. There is a much better work-life balance, obviously, because I'm working from home. So I think a lot of people are going to be in a similar situation. And I think that might be the driver to what I was previously saying about more people in the company are going to be saying, I quite like this working from home, Lark, and I want to understand whether I can do this more.
No, absolutely. Question from James. You mentioned onboarding new starters. Does your approach differ when bringing on juniors against seniors?
It shouldn't do, but it might do. I think it depends where they're coming from and what they're used to doing. You've got juniors coming in that are used to working from home, are used to doing things over the air. Developers, for example, are used to using shared collaboration tools like GitHub. So, it depends where the juniors come from. Sometimes we'll hire juniors from somewhere like North Coders where they've come from other industries and they're new to the development environment, in which case they may need more hand-holding. They just may need more contact on a day-to-day basis. Whereas a senior, you would hope that they were a little bit more used to this sort of thing and understood the problems with working remotely. So it may just be contact time. It may just be bearing in mind that person might need more regular check-ins. It can depend on the individual, of course.
No, absolutely. I've got another question from Amadit for me, it looks like. As a recruitment company with clients that may have been furloughed, interested to know how we support them in general. So I think we're a relatively small niche agency, but I think we've seen a couple of clients who are seeing the opportunity to hire like mad. I think a couple of companies have frozen. No jobs have gone. I think a lot of companies have just kind of frozen what they're doing and kind of slowed the process down. And I think for those kind of companies and in general, I think I mentioned earlier on, as a recruiter, it's important to get close to your customers now now's the time to do the value add rather than I guess just obviously trying to always just fill the roles. So one thing that we found, we do a lot of work within data. So we've worked closely with a couple of customers to help put together an e-guide, which I think is really beneficial for our clients. So there's a crazy stat. Mark might even know this himself. Looking after kind of data teams, I think there's like 70% of companies don't utilize their data as well as they should be. So we've kind of helped put together a guide. And when I say put together a guide, we're obviously not technical, but at what stages companies should be hiring and what positions and what kind of salary grades. So hopefully a bit of a value add that we've given to our clients. And actually anybody can kind of download that guide. We'll make sure we get a link on that as well. Supporting in terms of blogs, supporting in terms of webinars where people can kind of learn and share. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question, Amadip. I think that's it. Do we have any other questions? Anybody else? Cool. Okay, so I think to kind of finish it up, I think from my perspective, I see, like I said just now in terms of recruitment, there's no positions that have kind of been closed. I think there's a lot of positions that seem to be on hold. And I think that there will be a bounce back, and I'm pretty confident of that. And I think that, as Mark was alluding earlier, I think at the moment where a lot of people have had the time to kind of stop and think, I think that we're going to come out of this in hopefully a much quicker trajectory and lots of positivity. So I'm hoping for that anyway. I don't know about yourself, Mark. Have you got kind of like any kind of final thoughts on how we're kind of coming out of this and maybe what's next?
I think it's going to be interesting for people that have lost jobs in this environment, because before, especially for tech, it was very much a seller's market. You know, we were struggling to get people interested or into the company. I suspect that we'll have a brief bounce back where there's a lot more people on the market, and we can hopefully, as a company, be able to have a bigger pool of people to choose from. Quite a selfish point of view, that, as an employer, but you know, that's where we need to be. And then I sort of hope that maybe 6 months' time, everything's the market's the same, and everybody's just getting on with their daily lives again.
No, absolutely. So yeah, thank you very much again. I really appreciate your time. Like I said, I know how busy you are, so really, really thank you so much.
No problem.
I think thank you everybody for registering and watching. That everyone will receive a recording, as well as a SurveyMonkey feedback. So the plan will be to host another event in the coming weeks. So obviously keen to get everyone's thoughts. And yeah, listen, thank you very much again. Have a good afternoon. Enjoy the sunshine. Everyone stay safe, and yeah, speak soon. Thank you very much.